So does leveling your books with shadows high before or after a tournament really matter? Let's find out. Now, I've got a really great question commented in one of my recent videos by James4 or James. Absolutely amazing. It's needed its own introduction and video just because I want to break it down very thoroughly. It's a question that's been going backwards and forwards. I have had different opinions and also different kind of facts. Things have changed about the way you level your books of shadows before tournament. Before, you could level it quite high. Also, you could bank relics before tournament. So that gives you a kind of stockpile resources to use to level up your artifacts. This gave you a slight edge in tournaments and also helps you win higher positions, which is what you want for more rewards. Now, in my recent videos on update 5.4, so JMass4, I'll just say James for short, it's basically said he come across a Reddit post and it was broken down about two different situations. One that didn't basically did the leveling at high BOS, but that means the algorithm didn't work in his favor because the artifacts weren't being leveled, and one that didn't and kept BOS low and level artifacts, which was actually better. Now I'm going to break this down. I'm going to read through his whole comment to explain a bit more about basically what the kind of two scenarios are. And I have looked into it. I have contacted obviously like Lemon Llama and the pros and other people to see the benefits of leveling book shadows on or off. And let's finally get this answer, this major question to rest. Is leveling books of shadows worth it? So James says, I've got a question. In your tournament guide, you said you put all relics inside books of shadows outside of tournament as gets high as possible. I found this comment on Reddit and was wondering about your thoughts. There are many factors such as player stats, but if the algorithm is counting lifetime relics like it's said to be doing, then this is basically how it works now. So this is absolutely right. And a recent update, I think it's 5.1, it basically counts all lifetime relics. So before, the strategy used to be leveling books of shadows. Now it's slightly changed. So putting relics into book shadows basically gives you 0 immediate pushing power. Let's assume some examples. So there's two situations. One situation, the algorithm calculates your pushing power to be 100, just random number. So you do 75 procedures to get your BS to 100 and you push 0 stages. The algorithm assumes you use those 100 procedures worth of relics for pushing and calculates your potential to be 150. Your actual MS is 10, but algorithm assumes you can push to 150. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to assume your 150 potential to put you in a tournament full of 150 people. Now these people could be a mix. Some people could be leveling a BOS. Some people could be leveling artifacts. So it could put you in the max brackets of people at 11,000, as this statement is saying, but could also put you in a bracket of 10,000. It's kind of like, it depends on what you're leveling. Now your opponent, this is where the strategy comes into play. So the opponent is the one that has optimized their artifacts. The opponent has exactly the same stats as you, but instead has optimized his relics for golden damage. So instead of raising the books of shadows, they kept it about 4% and pushed to 100k. So what they've done, they've pushed outside tournament and they've just leveled the artifacts as normal. Since he has used nearly all his relics optimally, his potential is 150. The same algorithm calculates your place together because you have the same potential. So this is your joint kind of relic amount, lifetime relic amount. So after joining, you only have to join in prestige relics saved up. So you have two choices: level your artifacts or discover a new one. You probably have to prestige a few times to get to 11k, and you can also discover maybe 1 or 2 artifacts, but there's no guarantee that they'll be any good. Absolutely. Opponents gets back to his 11k MS because his prestige once, because he's high, earns 16 times your base relics and puts it at all into BS, bringing it to 60%. His BS was 4% previously, so now he's earning 50 times more relics he was before. His already earning 16 times base relics than you at 11k, and he just increased that by 15 with one prestige. So now he earns 240 times more relics than second prestige. So basically it seems like he was placed unfairly, but actually it's your fault for putting so much into Books of Shadows, which is basically pointless at low stages. If you're spending a whole prestige worth of relics increasing your Book of Shadows by 2 or 1% or less is a huge waste of time. It's better just discover a new artifact, push a few hundred stages, get a big increase in your base relics, then throw a few prestiges and Book of Shadows after pushing. I don't stop putting relics in BOS when level goes up by less than 15-20%, then switch to pushing. Yeah, so this is the basically because the all lifetime relics, this is the big discussion. So discussion is it worth having your Book of Shadows leveled higher before joining a tournament, as opposed to leveling up your artifacts and then because your artifacts are optimized when joining the tournament, then just leveling it high and going back to 11 artifacts. So essentially you're constantly going between the, I say 4% to 15 to 20% of your BOS. So essentially you could do like three runs of leveling your artifacts versus one run leveling your Books of Shadows, and go like that backwards and forwards in and outside tournament. And essentially in tournament, the only biggest gains you can get would be luckily getting a good artifact drops, or just doing as much push as you can. So basically doing as many runs, more runs as you can, more you can level it up, getting Titan chests, pets, that sort of thing, equipment sets. Those are the extra pushes. Now, this is going to be a whole new strat video that I have to probably go into and research, because if you do level up in and out tournaments, you'll be hitting much more soft walls, and you will, because it's all depending on what artifacts you drop, which you do in tournaments. So if you do get bad artifacts and you're leveling constantly, you feel like you won't be doing much, because you're only doing these big pushes when you do a big push in tournament, because that's when you want to push more. If you're doing small gains all the time, you will have loads of soft walls, because you can only break soft walls on big tier artifacts, and if you're always upgrading them, it's fine, yes, absolutely fine, but it would just be a slow progression rate, and you people will fill soft walls a lot more often. There is a strategy for early game players of having to basically salvage worse artifacts at low level, and using those salvage artifacts to gain you basically get higher tier. So you do better progression at the beginning than you would do mid game. So I say beginning, I'll say the first 15 to 20 artifacts. So probably that's be the optimum salvaging point. And I would only do that in tournaments. I will do a separate video about that, about which ones are bad artifacts. I mean, the artifacts are labeled anyway, like ST, S, A, B, C, so you can guess like that, but there are certain ones it's still worth keeping or not. So I might do a separate video about that, about when you basically a beginner's guide of when to salvage the new strat for BOS, and about explaining this more depth. If you do want to see that, leave a comment below. Obviously researching tons. Now I'm contacting Lemon to give a bit of clarity, because I still wasn't too sure, because even that strategy of having to level up, basically don't get your Books of Shadows extremely high, keep it like 15-20%, 4% is that, well, basically any more than 4% is fine. 4 to 15% is fine. Having it over like 80-90 doesn't matter anymore now. You could go ham just before tournament, like leveling up a bit more so when you start, but then again, optimizing, the whole key of this is optimizing your artifacts is way more important than obviously keeping a high level of Books of Shadows. Now Lemon Llama's feedback was, the Lemon Llama just basically says the same thing. It's just she says that because your relics spent on BOS are counted towards the algorithm, having a really high BOS, there's no reason to have your BOS at 99% strategies, and it doesn't do anything, because your relic you get at the higher BOS stage is less than you would if you did a big push. So anything higher than 4S could be placing at disadvantage at the starting stage. As long as you outfarm the difference tournament, is not a big deal. So even if you are like a bit more than 4%, it says you can outfarm the difference, doesn't really matter. So the strat, the new strat is have your BOS around 4%, and have your artifacts optimized as much as possible. And then in tournament, as soon as you join tournament, you can raise your books of shadows high, but no more than 15 to 20%, and then going back to leveling your artifacts. So you'd be swapping between low level BOS to basically gaining more relics for pushing than gaining more relics for BOS. This is just before joining tournament. Let me know what you guys think below, because I'm really stuck on this one, because I'm thinking the benefits of having a higher BOS in, like, say, mid-tier during tournament, if you want to raise it somewhat, is that if you stop pushing, this is all fine and game, but say if you hit a wall, a soft wall, so you can't get between 10,000, you got a bad relic, you can't afford the next relic because it costs you, 5 or 10 runs. So you're at the stage where you've pushed, you've got bad artifact drop, you've salvaged, you got all the best ones you can, and then you're at the stage where you're only progressing a couple stages per run. Now, would it be benefit to level up your books of shadows then to over, say, 60 to 80%, so you can have a high relic gain while you farm your max stage, and then you can use that to buy a new artifact, or to use that extra prestige relics, extra percentage of relics, while leveling up your artifacts. And also there's the Immaculate Arbiter, because that's a total relic gain. If you are stuck around about that soft wall, so if you hit a soft wall and you can't progress, you can't get that extra relics you get from raising your MS, is it then worth to, if you've got Immaculate Arbiter to give you relic bonus, to level up your books of shadows more? That's what I need to find out as well. It probably still means leveling your book shadows at less, well, basically keep it over 4%, around 4%, and then obviously using that before tournament, and then in tournament leveling as much artifacts as you can while maintaining that low BOS. This is one you know what? I want to try this. I know this is the answer. That's the this is a new strat that seems to be what has been confirmed going forwards, but I really want to try it in the next tournament. I've got 2 accounts, so I'm going to try one where I'm going to get a 4%, and I'm going to optimize all week. Well, in between tournaments, I'm going to optimize my artifacts, keep it at 4%, then push in tournament, and see how hard, see what the difference is after a week of well, basically constant swapping between BOS in and out of tournament, or 11 artifacts, and one keep my BOS reasonably high. I normally keep about 30% anyway, 30 to 40%, and then just push in tournament. See which one's harder. I will give that a try and give you a feedback in the next video. But that is the official statement. Basically, the official statement is I haven't tried it myself and confirmed it, but the community manager says keeping it at 4% before tournament, and then as long as you don't keep it ridiculously high over like 90%, that's pointless. And then just leveling your optimizing your artifacts while making sure your BOS doesn't drop too low, and just basically leveling up your artifacts as much as possible while making sure your book shadow isn't dropped too low is a better strat. Now, I would like to see the actual numbers on how many artifacts you get for the gain. So, for example, if you got you're only gaining like, I know, 100 stages, 200 stages, not thousands, does that give you more artifact gain than a higher BOS level? I need to see the algorithm numbers, but this is in aspect for joining a tournament. So having very high books of shadows, not good. In essence, that's the take back from today's video. I've now repeated myself several times, but without seeing the algorithm numbers about because this is for new players, like beginning and mid-tier players, end game players. This is pretty much what they do anyway. You don't get much gain from high level BOS because it's leveled so high anyway, so you just constantly leveling your artifacts. Just make sure the BOS is okay. So this seems to be the strat for everyone now, which is good. Easy, it makes it a lot easier. But we'll be doing a separate video for beginners strat about salvaging 11 book shadows, making this a bit more clear, because I have to test it out myself to make sure it's 100% correct and I want to work out the mathematics behind it as well, because I just think my only reason I'm a bit hesitant on this is just that there's too many factors. There's too many factors that for me to give you advice to say keep it at 4%, level all your artifacts, and then when in tournament make sure it's between 4 and 15% while leveling your artifacts. That sounds like sound advice, but then it's about what artifacts you have, and maybe equipment sets, and also even if you're a beginner player, does that mean if you can push like 2,000 stages, that's great, because you can do that. You get more relic gain high, so it means you would get more relics than a high level BOS. But if you've hit a soft wall and you can't get any more decent artifacts, is it still worth raising your books of shadows slightly higher, because you can't do the relic gain from massive stage increase because you've hit a wall? And the only problem about leveling constantly is that you will hit more soft walls, so that's another problem as well. I've had a lot of people messaging me because of this advice already, saying, oh, I've hit a wall, I can't progress, what do I do? On those accounts, as I said, all you can do if you do hit a wall is get new artifacts, obviously level your artifacts using an optimizer, follow a build, and join a high level clan. That's pretty much it at the moment. So I want to make sure the advice I give is sound, so I will do a lot more research. I know I've been rambling on, but I like to just get this out here, because this is the new strategy that's out on the street that everyone's using for their tournaments. This is tournaments. So before tournaments, 4%, optimize the hell out of your artifacts, keeping it like, between 15 to 4%. Over 90% BOS, not a thing anymore. Stop doing it. You're wasting potential. And then pushing as much as you can in tournament while getting new artifacts. But I hope this video has been enjoyable. I know it's a ramble, but it's just such a good topic. This is why I love your feedback and your comments. I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, so the guides I made before constantly get updated. That's why I try to keep updated videos as much as possible. Thanks so much, James and Lemming, for the confirmation and feedback and bringing this to my attention, because without you guys commenting on me, you keep me updated and on my toes as well. So thank you so much. This has been an awesome video. So if you have liked it, make sure you're subbed and followed. If you haven't, doesn't matter, still love you anyway, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, bye.